All right, this match review, our final match review of today, comes to us from Danisaurio01. Did not put their hours. Did they put on the second one? Yes, they did put their hours on the second one. It's 250. I think they mean 2,528 hours. They put the comma. I don't know. It could read 252.8 hours, and then they have like 200-ish hours. Or they meant to put 2,528 and just put the comma in the wrong place, because they put the comma like one before the last number. It's a little weird. So I don't know if they mean they have 2K-ish hours or if they have 200-ish hours, but that's vastly different, which makes things like a little weird for me, because usually this is the part where I'm like, oh, you have your fundamentals down, or you still have a lot to learn. Yeah, you're playing the Xenomorph though, and that I do know a lot about. The Xenomorph is kind of like B minus-ish tier on most people's hands. I think it'd be as good as B plus in like a one-trick's hands, but like realistically, if you're not good at them and you're brand new, probably is gonna be like C plus. In Canada, the decimal's a comma? Really? Am I just uncultured? Am I just a doofus? Is that it? Wow, really? Oh my gosh, I am just culturally a big old dum-dum. That could legitimately be it. Well, in that case, rewind. If that is the reason, 252 hours is a lot of hours in most games, but in Dead by Daylight, most people aren't consistent in terms of like having a consistently high win rate by having consistent good habits until around 1,000 hours. So like your chases might be a little bit long, a little bit short, but they won't be consistently short till later. Your macro pressure may be good sometimes, but bad other times. Doesn't really all fall together and become kind of like second nature until much later. So don't feel bad. Just play more. Play the game more. That'll come. Back to Xenomorph. They are a moderate skill floor killer, so like 10 being hardest, 1 being easy. They're like a 6-ish, give or take. Not one of the hardest killers in the game, but like you gotta learn how the tail works, learn how to deal with turrets. The character is also decayed to a pretty severe extent, so there's a lot of like bugs and clunk you gotta look out for and play around. And if you don't know that going in, that's a little bit of an arduous time. So there's a lot you gotta consider going into this character. It's definitely not plug and play, so hopefully you're aware of that going in. If not, you're going to find out the hard way. You are on, I think, Dead Sands, because it doesn't look like there's a main building. Actually, I know that. It is Dead Sands. Yeah, I do know that, because it's Arenas Muertas. I only took high school Spanish, but yeah. But Dead Sands is a pretty alright map for Xenomorph. There are a lot of pallets, but like there's not a lot of like formal tiles, and that typically airs itself to ranged killers or rush killers, because like even if there's a lot of like path tiles to go between, there's usually gaps and low areas where you can shoot over them with ranged killers, or rush killers can like, you know, mind game and slide around the side. So the fact there's only like barely any like full jungle gyms on this map is definitely to your favor, and that will help you out. I think I put this in A tier, Dead Sands, for Xenomorph for that reason. So the map, while working against some other killers, probably isn't working as much against yours. So stick with your hands and your perks. You are running Emergency Helmet, which reduces the resistance, or increases your resistance, sorry. So that in reverse, increases the resistance to flame turrets by 15%. And then you have the Ashen's Innards, which I believe is 10 extra seconds to flame turret respawns. 15. It's 15, yeah. It is 15. That's why we check. That's why we check. Okay, it is 15. It's 15 additional seconds to the respawn of turrets. Emergency Helmet is still alright, but unless you're doing a specific pairing, like with Emergency Helmet and Light Wand to counter double turrets, Lambert Star Map, which reduces the range of flame turrets from 10 meters down to 8, is just objectively the better anti-flame turret add-on, and for a cheaper price, so it's also cost effective. So realistically, If you're looking for an add-on to put here in this slot, unless you're out of Lambert Star Mats, you really should just put Lambert Star Map here if the whole purpose you're putting here is anti-turret, because it is just better and it's cheaper, so there's really no reason to use something else there. It's unfortunate. You know, it's just kind of like, it just outclasses everything, but that's how it goes. It's always been that way too. Lambert Star Map, even when Emergency Helmet was crazy good, really it was kind of like a toss-up. Most people ran both, but it was kind of a toss-up which one was better. Like, it was still like Lambert Star Map was still like going toe-to-toe with it, so it's like, it's kind of always been that way. Hi Kelly, it's good to see you. Hopefully you were well, homie. Let's see, Kelly. There we go. As for Ash's Innards, Ash's Innards is like, it's just not a good add-on. Like, it's okay. It's all right. It's technically not an add-on that hurts you in any way. It is technically just a benefit to run it. It's all right, but it's like, the problem is that there's 4 turrets. So realistically, unless the survivors have placed all the turrets in one place, which realistically they're only putting at least 2 in one area. If they're putting 3 or more, they just don't know how the power works. Like, there's always going to be another turret, because the idea is like, okay, I run Ash's Innards, and we take that 60-second respawn and we make it 75 seconds, which makes sense. But until you realize that there's 4 turrets, so even if I put one of them on an extra cooldown, as long as I haven't broken all 4, they're always going to still have a turret available. Like, it's one of those, it's an add-on that on paper, great, awesome, fantastic. In practice, you're like, wait, this doesn't do anything. Like, unless this is an add-on that only proportionally works if the survivors put out way too many turrets in one area. Because if they don't do that, you just really don't get value out of this add-on that much. So it's, in that weird way, it's kind of almost like noob trappy. But yeah, in terms of add-on replacements here that you could run for Ash's Innards. Ash's Innards. You could run Harpoon Gun, which is the add-on that after you exit a control station for the next 30 seconds, everybody you hit screams and reveals their location outside of 16 meters, which is very, very good. It's probably arguably their best add-on in tandem with Lambert Star Map. Self-destruct bolt increases your crawler mode vault speed by 30%. Very, very good. There's a lot of ways you could go with Xenomorph add-ons. They thankfully, after their side grade that they got a lot of very nice add-on updates. So it's really, you got a good handful of add-ons to pick from, which is really nice. But yeah, Ash's Innards is kind of like, Ash's Innards is like inefficient, if I could put it anyway. It's very inefficient as an add-on slot to pick, because like, sure, technically it's helping you, but like, it's not helping you enough to really justify the slot. Thank you for the lurk, Lycan. I appreciate it. In terms of your build's very, very strong. Very, very strong. Dead Man Switch, one of the most powerful slowdown perks on Xenomorph, because he's very good at like shoving people off of gens if they don't want to. Pain Res, the tried and true. Standard big boy slowdown on every character. Pop Goes the Weasel, much better than it used to be after they made the damage better again, and flat as well instead of proportional. In addition to that, Xenomorph synergizes with it well, because usually pop users suffer because they don't know which gen to give it to, but Xenomorph can just crawl around the tunnels and listen to which gen needs to get popped. So you got that. Ass innards. Yeah, maybe we're saying it on purpose. Yeah, it's ass innards. And they have Phantom Fear, which I was just explaining to Taba, has a special interaction with Xenomorph in specific, which I'm probably assuming that's why you put it here, where you can be like, you can proc it the moment you've hit the spacebar or whatever activation button to come out of the tunnels up onto the main map through the control station. So a survivor could just be vaguely looking the direction of a control station, not have no idea you're coming through it yet, and proc Phantom Fear, which is absolutely hilarious. Like, you actually get like some good value out of this perk, which is often pretty middling in a lot of characters. So yeah, it's a fun little special character interaction. Let's take a look at the match. Okay, you heard him there. Go ahead. Your sound is very bassy. I feel like they're in my head. Okay. Good job dealing with that. I definitely do advise what you did there too, because like typically you can just like lunge and break flame turrets if they're that close to you, but since you already had some flame charges accrued, like you already had some built up, it's always really risky to go for a lunge if you already have flame charges accrued from like the previous run through a turret. So it's always safer to pop it with the tail in that regard. Your field of view is very closed in. You should have readied the tail coming around that corner. You had the right idea, though. You're just a little late reactionarily. You end up getting anyway, because she put herself in the locked animation. I'm shocked that that didn't work, honestly. I've been hit by stuff like that before. Making a pain res early on. I will say something that I did not mention is that Pop and Deadman's is going to have some anti-synergy, so just be prepared for that. It's not impossible to run these two together, but they do kind of conflict in terms of their game plan. Because the game plan with this build, typically, if you're using like Pain Res Pop on like Xenomorph, is Pain Res a gen, and whoever was on that gen that just got Pain Res is probably far away, so they're just going to get right back on the gen and keep working on it. And then you fly across the map under the, or at least fly under the map as Xenomorph in the tunnels, hear them working on that gen, pop up, pop it. So now this gen is just obliterated because it just took 20% flat damage, and then you show up and pop it as well. It's just very debilitating for the survivors to deal with. But you kind of can't do that playstyle, because when you pay res something 9 times out of 10, especially in pub games, the gen that's the best option to pop is going to be covered by Deadman's now. So there is a little bit of anti-synergy here. It doesn't not work, but it does make it a little clunky, a little like your build's going to get in the way of itself. Here with Pop Goes the Weasel, like I was just explaining, the best way to use it on Xenomorph is to hop in the tunnels and move around the map and try to see which gen has the most progress. Try and deliver that pop, but you just kind of delivered it to a gen that had like 2 progress, and there wasn't really a reason to do that. Pop can be literally game changing when you used it like a gen that looks like crucially far along, but you just kind of like randomly deposited it onto this like gen that barely had any progress. So make sure we're using Pop on gens that are fairly far along. You're just waiting by that gen, waiting for it to unblock. That's very funny. Your sensitivity is very low. When you're playing in a game, this is something that I play at high DPI. So my situation's a little different. I'm a little wild child, okay? So what I do is different. But good advice I got a long time ago. I'll lower my DPI so it makes sense here. Well, advice I got a long time ago when I was playing like FPS games like Rainbow Six Siege and stuff is like you should be able to like turn your mouse and like be able to face directly behind you in a 180 very quickly, but anything more than that is just like way too wild. So I should be able to like move my mouse like this and make it behind me. Like spin around and do a 180. Your mouse is almost like way too low DPI. So like you're more like this, where like you're almost kind of like very like concrete grinding, tracking the survivor, like, you know, it's like, and it's hurting your ability to chase efficiently because like you're moving so slowly that you're missing information. Like when you're passing around corners, you're having to spend time like not even looking at the survivor who's over here because you're having to go, you know. Now, if you were on controller or roller, can't help that, but you're on PC, so you should adjust your DPI to be a little bit more responsive. Is this stream chill? If I say no, what happens? If I'm like, man, this is a terrible place, don't come here. What do you do in that situation? I don't know. Yeah, it's awful. We hate everyone. So what if somebody answers that way? Is this place chill? No, we hate everybody. You're a Rainbow Six player? Yes. I have like 600 hours in that game. But yeah, TLDR. Maybe adjust your sensitivity. It's a madhouse, or so they say. Kind of bold on hook with you right there. Sable's getting right back on that gen too. Yeah, if she's gonna get your way, just hit her. Alright, Marty. How do you? Hey, if she's getting in the way, that's her problem. Go after her. See, like right there, you should lunge and break that. That's the whole point of emergency helmet. Emergency helmet is resistant. So like if you're getting hit with flames, like you have more time to break. It's not like Lambert Star Map where it's like it's just like a distance thing. So like you're just in the flames less often. Emergency helmet's trade-off is that like it's not as good at like being out of the flames, but like when you're in it, it's not as bad. That's like their whole shtick. So if you're just going to tail attack the turrets anyway, which is the tool you should be using if you're in a crunch, like if you don't, like you noticed it last second or something, like there's really no point to bring emergency helmet. You should be using emergency helmet in order to lunge and break those turrets more safely. So, I'm mostly okay. I'm mostly all right. I'm above ground, as they say. I'm above ground, and that's enough. So make sure you're lunging to break your turrets, especially if you're having anti-turret ammo. Shot. By the way, for reference, I didn't say this earlier. You may be thinking, well, if I set my DPI manually, what should it be like? Most people recommend from like, most DPIs default to 800. 1200 to 1600 is usually where people are able to do what I was saying earlier, where like you can like turn your mouse and reach behind and like turn fully around 180 without it being too jarring. I play far higher than that, but that's for Xenomorph specific reasons. And I've just kind of gotten used to it at this point, so I can't go back. Somebody was doing their silver glitch. I don't know why she's protecting the Sable. The Sable hasn't been hooked yet. There's no advantageous reason to do this. Ooh, excellent shot. Excellent shot. Good job. You'd love to see it. And she DC'd. Isn't that one of my rules? That people can't DC in like the first two. Yeah, no DCing or giving up on hook in the first two gens. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. But I was like, maybe I was wrong. So the reason I have that rule is because if you're in a situation where a game either goes your way or goes poorly because of somebody quitting, it's really hard to like assess what went wrong, because there's just like a rogue element of like somebody literally quit the match. So that's swaying things. So that's why I typically don't like that. So just a heads up in the future. Before you submit a match review, it does, like, you do have to scroll past the rules of submission as you go through. So if you just scrolled through that and ignored all that, that is relevant information. So do not skip that in the future. But typically, I like people, I like full matches, because I'm supposed to be analyzing how I can help you. Not, okay, well, this match went a certain way because somebody just quit. So, yeah. Also, thank you for the follow. Follows are anonymous, but I appreciate it very much. Hope you're having the least Monday as possible. It's a good start to the week. Finesse life, hyper-focus stakeout. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how hyper-focus stakeout hasn't been touched in ever. It's like, that is a doozy of a combo, and it's just kind of like, yeah, that's fine. I think it'd be fine if it, like, hyper-focus hot take. My hot take is hyper-focus is a amazingly designed perk. I think stakeout just cheeses what makes it great. Because the idea of, like, this perk requires you to do something difficult, and then you get a strong output, makes sense. But there's just both in-game and cheating ways to circumvent that, which ruined it. Yeah, please read the terms and conditions. Okay, you go up under this gen. It's still regressing. You have a pop you can deliver, but you haven't found a gen for that yet. Okay. That's really unlucky, because that's actually really unlucky for you. Because you could have got a pop there. That's why we always strafe, by the way. Where you go left to right with your tail attack. Because of situations like that where they like have some very random movement. Yeah, you don't appear to really be doing that. Because realistically, so far, you haven't really had to. You've been going for a lot of really good fishing shots, which have been impressive so far. So good job on that. But you realistically, with the Xenomorph tail attack, should be moving as much as, I wouldn't say as much as possible, but you should be moving like left to right, right to left, because the tail attack hitbox is not a single hitbox. It is a hitbox that once it comes out, it repeats itself over and over until the animation is over. So if I swing the tail from left to right here, I have hit, right, until I hit either an object or a person. And it will detect a hit all the way through that entire strafe that I move. So in situations like that with Dwight, where he was like wiggling back and forth and it was really hard to tell where he was going, you can just swing from left to right and it will cover both those options. And you definitely should be doing that as much as possible. Basically, the only reason you should be going for like these single stabs is like, you know, right now, he's in a locked animation. If you were close enough, he's in a locked animation. You don't have to strafe, whatever. Just hit him where he is. Like earlier, we got that super cool shot over the bush. It's like, well, I know she's going to be right there. I want accuracy over coverage. Makes sense, right? But by and large, outside of those situations, you really should be strafing as much as possible. So I would like to see you start doing that. You went to the right, but you got a little lost here. Your field of view is also very low. So that may also be contributing, because like that low field of view and low sensitivity is kind of like a double whammy of like disorientation like that. Because not only is your field of view shorter, so you don't see as much in your periphery, but if it's taking you longer to scan your camera as well, like you're just kind of ending up in a situation where you're not really able to track as well. You see, go. They have a Coke can. That's all. You know, Xenomorph came with a Coke can base kit. Hopefully a Coke Zero. Dude, nice Coke Zero would slap right now. That'd be so good. Yeah, see how you're having to like really like do this? I promise you, like upping your field of view and making your sensitivity not as like low, that'll help so much, because you don't have to like do that in order to track people. Okay, so you have somebody dead fairly early on. That should be very helpful for you. Yeah, you have a pop coming for this gen. Oh no, they barely got it done. Unlucky. That's rough. We've all been there, we've all done that. See, this is the problem that you're realizing, is like I was talking about earlier, like there's so many situations where you could have popped a generator, but Dead Man's is blocking it. That's why typically I'd never run these two together. Even though they're both amazing on this killer, together they kind of fight each other. Realistically, like if you're going to make this work, which is an uphill battle, so you probably shouldn't. It's like you pain res a gen, that gen through pain res becomes blocked by Dead Man's, and then you use the tunnels to find the second most progressed generator that's not blocked and hit that one. That's typically how I would go about this. But instead, what's happening is you're just like not getting an opportunity to use pop at all, because you're not really in the tunnels checking what gen you should hit with pop. So you're not really getting the opportunity. So yeah, that's why I don't really advise this for a lot of people, because even in the way that it quote unquote does work, it's like it takes some finagling. Okay, you should break that. Yeah, you gotta start using your basic attack or lunge to break your turrets. See, like, you really need to pop this gen, and you just can't. Like, it's pretty bad. Yeah. But now you're like, okay, I have to kind of puppy guard it a bit. Thankfully, the person that showed up is Death Oak, so that's good for you. There was no way you were hitting that. Those bushes, terrible. Terrible collision. Awful. So much so that Behavior said they were going to remove them at one point, and didn't. So. I don't know whatever happened to that. Okay, at this point, you're not going to be able to stop this gen from popping. You are not going to be able to stop this gen from popping. It has been 99 for, like, a good, like, 20, 30 plus seconds, if not more. Like, it is going to get done. With 3 people alive, somebody's going to slide in and get this. So what you got to do, or you should have done, is you should have gone after Laura, hopefully get a quick down, hook her, come back to this, catch him on the door, and then chase him, get a 3K. You're not going to be able to prevent this from popping. Because even if you, like, chase this guy, if Sable's aware, which she probably is because she was over here earlier, she could just slide in and get that. You're not going to be able to defend this. Like, which one of the devs? I'm not sure, Brandy. I'm not sure which one. Yeah, she was here. I was correct. Yeah, now that Death Oak Survivor is fully healed. They're reset. See, you're in a rough situation here, too, again, because what's going to happen is you're going to... I think you're doing this to get your pop goes the weasel, and then you're going to get your pop if this chase goes quickly, and then you're going to go over there and you're just going to get blocked by Deadmans. So you're not even going to get the effect that you want out of this. Not great. What did... Dwight choose to heal at that moment? That is not very good. Okay. When you're this close to a survivor, you definitely, like, until, like, you get better at Xenomorph, should not be tail attacking. Is it technically better? Yes. Why? Because the movement speed, quote-unquote, penalty for a successful attack is much quicker on a tail attack than it is on a basic attack. You are technically faster. But until, like, you, like, get very, very, very good with the tail, especially around objects in the environment like this, you are going to constantly hit the environment instead, especially considering that the collision detection for this attack is terrible. It is, like, one of the worst in the game. Like, which you found out earlier, because when you were coming off that Pride Rock and you did that shot to Dwight, you went straight through his body, and the game was like, oh, clearly that hit the ground. Because, like, even if the hitbox travels fully through a survivor, a lot of the time, if you hit the environment behind them or around them, it'll just say you hit the environment instead. So for now, until you get more used to the tail attack, I would recommend only doing those, like, close range tail attacks for the extra speed, like in the open or relatively open areas, until you get used to it. It's a pretty hard skill to master because of just how clunky the power is overall and the way that it was designed. See, like, like, if you're going to be doing those, like, last second tail attacks around quarters and stuff too, like, that sensitivity and field of view is going to help a lot. I would just commit to her. You're not going to stop that gen from popping. Or you are... Yeah. And now this is regressing because you kicked it earlier, so you can't even pop it. And that's not even accounting for if Dwight's just on another gen cross map. Smart Darker next to the gen, but I think you're getting a little tunnel vision on this generator in particular when there's 2 more. Yeah, which is what he was doing. But you can't pop it because of Deadmans. See? This is why this combo is kind of rough. I mean a lot. It's very rough. So you got somebody dead now. Again. That's good. They haven't tap this yet, which is sad because a pop would have been really helpful here. Obviously, you can't help that. You can pop this though. I would just eat it. You're not gonna be able to wait it out. Yeah, just save the time, eat it quick, and then get right back into it. Is that failing fear going off? That was good patience. That was really good patience on the Dead Hard. Honestly, kudos to you. That was very good patience. Good job. That was clean. Surprised Dwight hasn't got that other gem done yet. He might be playing for Ash at this point, even though he doesn't have to. No, there he is. I was like, there's no way. It's funny he went back to that one. You should get him on the Killer Instinct from the exit. Really? That's too far away? No, he went somewhere else. There's no reason to search lockers here, because Xenomorph's Killer Instinct from the tunnels goes through lockers. So he's confirmed that here. But it appears he didn't know that. Another thing about going into the tunnels is that you do not hear exit gates or the hatch while in here. So this is realistically, unless you already have the hatch shut, not really the place to go in the end game. And even then, if the hatch is already shut, you only go in here if, like, you know they're not on either of the doors and you're trying to catch them out running to one of the doors. So realistically, you shouldn't be in here during the end game. These doors are also within, like, not true line of sight of each other, but, like, you can wiggle back and forth and have a good patrol path. So going back and forth between the tunnels is more risky. Yeah, that is slightly outside of that. Interesting. You could have hit that. Especially with blocked animation. You do end up getting the 4K here. We'll see their perks, although I don't really think the perks are why that match was that way. Yeah, nothing really wild here. So in terms of your main takeaways, I think there's a lot going on here, which is not a bad thing. But it just means that there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of opportunities to take something away from this, which is really, really helpful. First is you should be strafing or moving with your tail attack whenever you're going for a tail attack, because the Xenomorph's hitbox is not a single hitbox. It is a repeating hitbox that just follows wherever your tail goes until the animation is over, until it hits the environment or it hits a survivor. So I would try to do that as much as possible. Like I said, there's some circumstances like where somebody's in a locked animation, they're just right in front of you. Just go for the single straight shot. But otherwise, you should be strafing as much as possible. Second, in terms of flame turrets, especially when you're using an anti-turret add-on like emergency helmet or Lambert star map, you should be using your lunge or basic attack to break them, because that's the whole point of running Lambert star map or emergency helmet is you're nerfing the turrets slightly so you can break them easier. The tail attack, realistically, you shouldn't be using to break turrets, because you go into a movement speed penalty of 1.2 meters a second whenever you quote-unquote miss with the tail attack. Hitting the turrets does not count as a hit, so you technically miss with the tail attack, which ergo puts you in that movement speed penalty, and you really don't want that. And because you didn't seem to know that, you were putting yourself in that movement speed penalty near constantly, which made a lot of your chases much longer. So realistically, the tail attack is the quote-unquote quicker way to break the turrets, like in a bind. Like if you stumble upon a turret that you didn't see until last second, break it with the tail attack, because it was like, oh gosh, and you already accrued some flame charges. But otherwise, if you are aware of a turret or it's like right next to you, just smack it, because emergency helmet or Lambert Star Map will tank that. Technically, you can, even without turret anti-turret add-ons, lunge and break a turret. It's just like extremely close. So it's just kind of sketchy. So it's hard, but especially with emergency helmet or Lambert Star Map, like you should be able to lunge and break those extremely safely. So I would start doing that, so you're not giving yourself that movement speed penalty all the time. Third is the tunnels are there for you as information, especially when you have a perk like Pop Goes the Weasel that requires you, or not requires, but it's used best when you use it on like gens that have a lot of progress. You should probably not be delivering it to something that like same thing with Pain Res, where if you do enough damage, it goes past the threshold of what it currently has, because that damage doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't stay. It's essentially just lost pressure. And Xenomorph has the perfect tool to help you with this, because they can hear within 16 meters of where they are in the tunnels. So if you're down there and you're crawling past a tunnel, and you crawl past a gen, and you hear it, and it sounds like very far along, you pop out, you Pop Goes the Weasel, and then everything's great. But like, you weren't really doing that very often. So that's honestly one of like the strongest things about Xenomorph, besides like the super aggressive 1v1 power, is the fact that they are able to get around the map and have so much Basekit information at the same time. And you really didn't take advantage of that for whatever reason. Maybe you didn't know, but now you do. So maybe, I wouldn't even say maybe, you should implement that into your gameplay style of being able to go around the map and pressure whatever gen needs it the most by using your built-in info and your fast speed in the tunnels. I think at the end there, this is a very common takeaway. I think a lot of the time, you let that Laura that was Death Hook go multiple times. Realistically, by like 2 or 3 gens, you need to start realizing like, who do I need to get out of this game? And you kind of got into this weird tug of war with the last like 2 or 3 gens. When you had Laura, and even injured at one point, you had her literally injured. But you didn't pursue that to get her down quickly and then hook her and get her out of the game. And then she kept harassing the gens for the rest of the match until she was out of it, because you left her alive. But if you just, committed to that chase and got her down quickly and then hooked her, then, you wouldn't have had to worry about that at all. So that is always something to keep in mind. And finally, this is like outside of game stuff for your final takeaway. It seems like you lose track of people or have a hard time like lining up shots because your field of view is low and your mouse sensitivity is low. I'm not saying crank them, but maybe widen your field of view a little bit, maybe up your sensitivity a little bit, because it seemed that like I was making this like physical representation earlier. It's like you're looking at the game like this and you're only moving like about this fast, and when you're doing that, you're missing all the information in your periphery. So if you're able to have like a wider field of view, so not only can you notice somebody over there, but if you notice them, you can just like snap to them as quick as possible. That's a huge help. That's a huge help. So I would try to do that to make your life a little bit easier, because it seemed like your chases were having a lot of issues because you either were losing track of scratch marks in the corner of your eye, not seeing survivors in the corner of your eye, that sort of thing. So I would try to adjust that and see if that helps you. But yeah, that's a lot of takeaways already, so I won't keep piling them on, but hopefully those help you have better games overall.